This video is about the blameless one as the fountain of eternal life and Ra as the source. Cannibalism. It's about genetics and who dulled their senses and why and who didn't. I'll use Baraka as an example. Raka. These people believe that if you sleep with women who are void of spirit, who really just have certain attractive characteristics that one might associate with a martial artist, that they can be the top martial artist. Also, there's evidence of cannibalism, and Baraka really symbolizes a cannibal with the sharp teeth and this kind of pale, sickly look, and everything considered. He's a cannibal with technology applied. I'll also talk about technology, how it's a play on words. That means that there's no logos of God. Another reason why they're wrong to, there's so many reasons why it's wrong to plant your seed and find your life. I don't know where to begin. You don't even have to be religious to see it that way. Anyway, life is like a martial art challenge where all people were outmaneuvered but me, by the devil, that is. And it's because I'm an angel. Now, of course, there's a bunch of mental health, jealous, sniveling, scientist kind of geeks who don't want to admit that. Well, look at Genesis 19. Genesis 19:10 and 15, compare the two. They refer to the men inside as men, and they refer to them as angels. The men inside blinded them, and they're angels. Of course, this has another interpretation, but who's interpreting and why? Right? People that know that they weren't supposed to find their lives. Are they great men of God? Do they come from a long line of great spiritual people in their family? No. They come from a long line of conformists who found their lives in a very rapist, immoral Western society. You know, they have no business speaking about God when they come from generations of colonists and rapists. And I've gone over Serapis, sea rapists. What is rape really? It's taking advantage of the illusion. You know, taking advantage of the Native Americans' positions, taking advantage of the women in the West, and so on and so forth. Right? They have no business pretending that they're men of God conveying the spirit. You're conveying the energy of survival in this world. So Genesis 19 proves my point about angels, among other points I've brought up in the past. Let's consider the spectrum, right, and instinct. Right? How many people stood with me and why? And what does it suggest? It screams that people are going the wrong way with their breeding. Okay, not only are their races not capable of bringing forth another person to replace me, but they're not even capable of bringing forth someone who would stand by me at this point. No one here is worth saving. It is like a bunch of dragons and a bunch of snakes that serve them. You know, when you look at it from God's eye view or a bird's eye view, etc., the sun's eye view, that's all you see everywhere. They're not worth saving. Why would you seek to, kind of separate yourself from this and try to survive as a monk or whatever? Right? They won't do it for God, and they won't even do it for their people when their false pride is based on their people. So they won't do it so their people can pretend that they're worthy, right? And they won't do it for God. It's clear they don't love God, they don't love their people, they love themselves and how they feel, and their senses are even reduced. Think about that for a second. These people have dulled their senses to choose survival, and all they care about is how they feel. It's pathetic, right? This goes back to sensibility. Those of us who haven't can truly see them for how pathetic they really are and can see that they're not worth saving with all due respect. All right, so obviously they've been bred to not be worth saving. That's the point of that. We look at Mortal Kombat. I went over this in MK Ultra, right? The characters prove my point. Scorpion, he's a demon. Shang Tsung, it's a sorcerer. Okay, Gordo is based on Kali. Look at the arms. Look at his feminine kind of look. Some of us have seen a Gordo-looking females in our lives, right? These kind of prison females, these rough females with this kind of look. Okay. Again, Kali. What does Kali represent, right? She's a real bitch, an evil, petty, red-eyed bitch that kills demons, right? She's evil. The demons she's killing are evil, and that is the moral of the story. And I'll put on the screen some, more information related to that in the break. So we look at Quirinus and the archaic Capitoline triad, right? You had Jupiter, Mars, and Quirinus, right? Queer eye knows, or queer eye news. Why do they know? I'll go over that in the next part, because they are also sensitive, right? In the West, you have the brute, you have the jackal, and then you have some kind of sensitive moon temple person. Okay. Mars is a symbol of masculinity, right? The symbol of the man in Western culture is the spear and shield, a circle with an arrow pointing up at an angle. One could take this as a roundabout way to heaven. I reject that. They're sealed in hell, and I'll overkill that in this video. And I certainly have overkilled in my other videos. So Mars is a symbol of masculinity on record. I'll put that on the screen, hopefully, if I remember. There's also a Cato reference in his description. Okay, he's also, in his primitive form, he was a storm god. Set is a storm god, martial arts, horse, scale C, right? Mars, okay, scale C, or something like that, right? Horse, scale C, or Mara, scale C, excuse me. And this goes back to the chariots, right? He's also associated with chariot racing, march, how you march. It goes back to my argument about terrain, right? And tailor, right? Tailored for who, right? Their image. The West is an image-based society. A bunch of rotten apples, right? New York, the rotten apple, right? The New York, the York, right? England, rotten apples that are painted, okay, to look good. Makeup, right? Makeup for what? She's a rotten apple. Her face, she's a whore face. Whore means face. They're referring to her whore face versus the martial arts face. So their face of receptivity from a whore who doesn't want to change, right? That smirk. The face of receptivity from a whore that does want to change, and the face of receptivity for some kind of natural beauty that concedes. So the man didn't stand with him. The women did not present the face that wants to change. Okay. Just the whore face that wants to trick and play her role in the group stalking and the psychological warfare and so on. So what we see here is generational nurture. Nurture is the determinant. At least it was. Now, in the absence of anyone capable of bringing them to God, okay, life is like a science experiment where they trigger people to see if you have it in you, if you have the God gene in you, and if you can reproduce that God gene. And for generations, they have observed people, and they see that white people have white children, black people have black children, tall people tend to have tall children, and so on. So as they watch the variations play out and the different mutations, they've seen that, hey, we don't mutate into fucking angels. We don't mutate into hawks. You know, people through certain bloodlines present certain variables, and that's it. Okay, they cannot be saved, and they've bred people to make sure that they can't be saved. And this also goes back to nature. Now nature is the determinant after I die. Okay, and this goes back to the pan and pun, a play on words, right? Triggers, N-word, right? Diggers, bigger. Okay, so bigger, right, is more associated with the bull, and the digger, Min and Set were worshipped by the scorpion. Remember, scorpion, European, right? E-U, rape, E-I, ripe, and rape, going back to the forbidden fruit in the Garden of Paradise. Paradise. All right, so the paradise fire, right? They're saying there's no paradise. You're just burning in hell. Right now, there's 300 people, said 997, said to be missing, and over 50 are said to be dead. They burn to death. They go that far to make their point. Okay, now some people might say, he's a conspiracy theorist. You know, you're a dumbass if that's what you think. It's very possible that they set the fire in some basic way. It's very possible they use directed energy weapons. Who cares? It's not a coincidence. You know, that look at the trajectory of my videos. Look at the things I've been saying. And then days later, these things play out in the form of mass shooting and fires. This has everything to do with martial arts, right? Prometheus, okay? The fire. Hephaestus forged the fire. Thor as a symbol of elevating the craftsman who was like 3 or 4 levels beneath the warrior and the pharaoh and the nobles in the Egyptian structure. Right? He was like a servant. He became a glorified servant who overran a bunch of peasants saying, get him, right? Overran what was left of the troops after they had given their lives so they can leave. Humanity is like the ungrateful craftsmen and peasants and peons, demos, terror, right? And demos as peasant and people that overthrew what was left of the martial arts structure after the masses of them gave their lives so they can live. And who was left? Who was left? Who was left? It was the bloodline of Pharaoh was left. Okay, and then eventually they would narrow it down to the Igbos. Obi, I'll ask. Obstacle, obey. Obey, regardless of obstacles. Who can and who can't. They screened out the martial arts bloodline. It ends with me. The bloodlines, it ends with me. Goes back to what I said before, the science experiment, right? There's triggers, right? There's drills. There was drills going on during 9/11. There's drills, right? To drill it in, drill. It's a play on words, right? Craftsman. Goes back to blacksmithing. Black, the color of darkness. Cover it up. They call them the blacks. Cover it up because you're trying to manifest their destiny. The ships manifest. And you narrowed it down. First you killed the warriors, you know, and then you narrowed it down to the pharaoh and the peasants that are left in the Igbo tribe. The Igbos are like, you know, black people are called soul brothers because of one tribe that has the sun in it. Okay, it's a spectrum from there, the sun rising. They're like rays that contain the soul. Okay, and everybody that teams up with them, in that sense, through the martial art order. Right. Anyway. And he goes back to the fountain of eternal life. Okay, I went way longer than I wanted to, but warned has the word war in it. Warning, right? Ra, right? Dawn, Ra. Okay, W-U-U, mind and body, right? They're looking for the mind and body that reflects the soul, and they've narrowed it down. Okay, W, right? So the Jews, the whites, and the Asians, right? They've warned these people. And all the token minorities, the peasants, the craftsmen that help them, they've warned you. Shaolin, Showline, Jews, World War II, eugenics. Okay, they're like, look, it's a eugenic society. You need to value love. You need to be willing to die for love. Romeo and Juliet. They've warned them. Life is about love and righteous indignation. And who does not respond is basically a hell spawn. Okay, responsibility. Eugenics, right? Fish out of water effect. Eugenics, paradise lost, Romeo. Okay, false pride, obstacles, obi, seek, last, and all the obstacles that they've placed in front of you. All right. I don't want to make more than one video, so let me just shoot through this. Baraka, cannibal, right? Bor, A, Ka, Ki, or Ki. B, Rock, Ki, Ka, B, Rock, A. Remember, rocking back and forth, right hand that rocks the cradle and so on. Everyone is incapable of making love outside the martial art order. Women have become shallow, and especially her insides, right? Her DNA is inferior. Her flesh is empty, an empty vessel needing to be filled with spirit. Truly, she is objectified. The top among women are the most attractive, but so what? Right? They're empty vessels. You know, they've bred with these evil scumbags. Okay, so women, the bare minimum of them is to be attractive. That's why the symbol for women is basically Venus's mirror. Right? She needs to work on her appearance to vie, to woman, right? To vie for man. If she doesn't do that, what good is she? She's an animal. Get her out of here. Right? Why wouldn't you try to vie for it? Why wouldn't you go out of your way to be the most attractive you can be to bring in a healthy child? Healthy body to bring in a healthy child. Why wouldn't you do that? Okay? So if you accept being sickly and so on and so forth, why? Okay, obviously you're not a suitable helper. Okay, suit, right? Appearance, right? Health, you know, versus being painted and so on and so forth. Anyway, trannies are also seen as attractive as well. This is also key, right? You know, image versus true health versus, you know, mental health, mind, body, soul, right? If she's not receptive to me, get her the fuck out of here. She's a harlot scumbag. I have no time for that kind of despicable cowardice. Anyway. Okay, the falcon is in the sky for all to see and stops at nothing to get there, right? He's skywalking. You know, he's not going to be in some temple hiding somewhere. He's not going to hide from my challenge. He's not going to not make a challenge. He is going to make a challenge. You know, just like the Bible said, he didn't put a lamp under a bed or where the fuck he said, right? He's going to be out there, torch in the sky, right? There's vying for power with the martial artist who is going to emerge, right? It's the same thing with female. If there's no suitable female, nobody emerges to be receptive, you know, it's done, right? It ends with me, and there's no suitable female. What do they have to work with? Right? A bunch of empty, cowardly harlots. Well, shut the fuck up with that bullshit. You know, get that slut the fuck out of her. Sophia is a whore. Take her outside and execute her. Anyway, and Sophia means wisdom for you pussies. Okay, the world serpent, right? DNA and technology, right? Teach, new or know, logos, right? Log O, log I. Okay. Oh, for fuck's sake, are you serious?